Okay. Now, we're gonna have a rollback. Excuse me, not a long rollback, but it will sort of explain why things look slightly different here. Our sun came up just a little while ago. In fact, I can see it on the neighbor's house across the street. Not spectacular. I won't be doing a sunrise at the end of today's video. It seems that if there are no clouds, it is not spectacular. However, on a plus side, if there are no clouds, you can tell when it exactly breaks the horizon, or as I've said before, our horizon, which is probably about, maybe 10 minutes later than the normal horizon. I don't know, I've never bothered to figure it out, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, let's roll back, because then this will make a lot more sense. Now, some of you who are regular viewers and have been watching for a long time, you know this. I have a bit of a health problem. I'll tell you about it later in this episode. It's probably going to affect how long this episode is. In other words, I'm going to have to cut it off this morning. Anyway, you don't want to miss this, what I consider a rather important message. Now, I don't know if I've ever started the rollback this early before. Oh, probably I have. Okay. Now we're going to want to dull our needle. And I think we can leave it at the shape it is basically. I just want to get rid of that really sharp point and the sharp edges, but we can leave it. It's got sort of like a spoon shape to it right now, and I'm thinking possibly it'll be able to cup a little bit of that excuse me, curing agent in the cup, and then we can just apply it in the right place. I don't think we need to worry about the curing agent curing on the inside of the needle. I think it'll always stay liquidy. Now, maybe I'll put the macro lens on here and we'll get in nice and close. Okay, now a person can still jab themselves with this, but I think there's going to be a lot less chance of, cutting yourself accidentally with it. And, like I say, if you notice, it's sort of like a little spoon there. And, well, let's get some curing agent and try it out. So, okay, here's what's happening. We've got some railing from that 1/350 scale ship that Tony sent us way back when we started the Bismarck. And I've cut a couple of little pieces of photo etch here. Like we're only going to be needing this thing for gluing photo etch. Gluing plastic parts together, we use the Tamiya or the Revell, and it works just fine. So anyway, I got a couple of little pieces here, and I was going to see if I could, you probably can't even see it, but you will when I put the macro lens on later. The idea is I want to try and put it perpendicular somewhere on this piece of scrap plastic, and see if we can glue it in place, and then bring our curing agent into play. But and I was going to use well, I've got this is right full. This one here has just had a few squirts out of it, and so it doesn't matter as far as I know. They're both the same stuff. and I was going to draw some into this. I suppose we could draw it and let it sit overnight. I mean, look at the time, and I'm I'm starting to get pretty tired here. I got involved with other stuff, and quite a bit of time has passed since I said we'll put on the macro lens or whatever I said. I can't even remember anymore. Anyway, I think I'm going to. All right, let's just draw some into the syringe here, and let it sit overnight and see if it affects the plastic. I don't think it will, but it's hard to say. So. Yeah, there's some in there. Okay, we'll just let that sit. I don't think it's going to dissolve the plastic. At least I'm hoping it won't. Maybe I should set it. I'll find another place to set it here. Don't want to make a mess of our green cloth. This has a rather pleasant odor. They must add a perfume to it. It could be that it's odorless, otherwise, but and they add the perfume so that you can smell it. Makes sense. Don't they do that with natural gas? They put for your furnace, they put something in it that makes it smell so that, if you have a gas leak, you can smell it. Anyway, let's call it a day. And I was going to say thanks for watching and we'll see you in the morning, but I guess that's kind of true. We'll see you in the morning. Well, it is morning, and I haven't tested our syringe yet to see, if there was any deterioration going on. Obviously, it's not leaking. Now, you can see the bubble in there, which you would normally, I imagine, want to get rid of if you're going to inject this into yourself without getting air into your system. But I'm not too worried about that. Maybe I will get rid of the bubble because the bubble will cause expansion and contraction when you try to shove it out the needle. Yeah, I don't know if this is meant to be reused or not. I think somewhere it says on the throw out after you've used it once. But we're going to just use this same one over and over again until something happens to it. But you can see that the bubble's still in there, so the liquid hasn't gelled, that's for sure. And I would imagine that when we try to squeeze some out, I'm trying to do everything on camera here. When we squeeze some out, it's going to work just fine. I am quite sure that when they design these syringes, they do it in such a way that they use a plastic, in other words, that is more like the plastic that these bottles that contain the liquid are made of, not something like the type of plastic that we make model ships from. Anyway, let's test this out here. Enough talk, and let's have a little bit more action. Yeah, this is not staying on there nice and tight anymore. A moment ago I tried to shove it on. I thought it would sort of snap on and snap off, but it really doesn't. Well, that's okay. Yeah, there we go. It says, what does that say? Discard after use or something? Yeah, discard after use. Okay, well, we're not going to do that. Now, maybe I should have the macro lens on for this so we can see that we have the little spoon type thing that I was talking about yesterday. Okay, so now what I want to do is just bring up just a very, very small amount here. So I'm going to very carefully and slowly start pressing on the plunger or whatever you call it. Oh yeah, it's working. Well, this is going to be good, I think. Now, it's kind of wicking its way back up the needle, though. Notice when I make the, I should have the macro lens on here. I was hoping it would stay in the spoon, but it's really not. It kind of works its way back up the needle. Could it be that if I had have blunted the end and not had it, yeah, maybe I should try that. Well, anyway, let's pretend. Once again, I should have the macro lens on. That we want to take one of these little pieces of railing that I can hardly pick up, and let's pretend that we wanted to mount it right in the center of this thing here. So we'll make a little mark there. Okay. What happened to my pointer? I thought it was sharper. Oh, we'll use Mr. T's poking device. Where is it? There, I think we got something. Okay, let's slip the macro lens on and see what we can do here. Okay, now this is my first time doing this. And I do have the macro lens on right now. It's just that I am pulled back probably about 16 inches or so from the subject here. Now, my plan is to be able to adjust this. I'm trying to do it on camera here. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit more. Well, let's get it. I'm using the second clamp here so everything doesn't fall over. Now I want it to be held perpendicular in that little spot. I better get my other glasses on. I can hardly see that little mark we made. It is there. Okay, now I'll move the macro lens in. Oh, I bumped it. Wouldn't you know? Okay. Now this is where it's kind of ticklish. And we want to mount that right in the center of that little dimple that I made there. Well, it's going to be kind of hard because when I let go of it, it wants to collapse over. Yeah, I think we can get it. Now, I'm just going to set it off to the side just a little bit here. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Now, what I've got... Oh, I bumped it again. Okay. What I've got here is, that's probably too much, isn't it? Okay, I just want to put just a tiny little bit of CA right there. Now, this is the CA medium. Okay, let's get this out of the way. See, when I've got the magnification hood on, my peripheral vision is not too good. And I keep bumping stuff. Now I'm having a hard time seeing where that hole is. Okay, now get it nice and straight. Okay, I do believe we've got it in the hole. Now, we want to test out our curing agent on the end of the needle. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just bringing some up onto the end of the needle. And we are going to bring it into play here. Okay, now that should evaporate. I can well imagine that the CA glue has probably cured right now. I didn't see any fumes or anything coming off of it, but let's just see if we can't very, very gently release our tweezer. Very, very gently. Yeah, very, very gently, Ron. Oh, no, it didn't. It didn't. Okay, I'm having trouble releasing it. That's this. Okay. I'm going to have to set up a different apparatus here. I can see though where the curing agent is evaporating, and all that is left more or less right now is that little bit of CA that we put down. At least that's what it appears to me. I would say it is. I would say it looks like it's 99%, if not all, evaporated. You know, we should do a test to see if there's any residue left from that stuff. Probably very little. Okay, I have made a new hole here. Right there, that's the original one. I gotta be careful I don't bump this thing because I didn't tape it down. But I did put it on the rotator. Now, we're going to do this again, only just a little bit differently. Now, all we want to do is see if, let's see if we can get this adjusted so that everybody can see it. All right, now let's do the time-lapse thing and see what happens. Now, it appears to me that our curing agent has evaporated. I don't know how much time has passed here. I guess I'll know when we get to the computer. And now, our CA, which was the CA medium, I'm pretty sure that it is hardened, but I don't want to poke it with a needle. Let me turn this here. It does appear to me that it is hardened. Okay, where is Mr. T's poking device? So we can poke. Yeah, that's hard. I don't know why. I guess I couldn't release that little piece of photo etch before, and that's why it broke off. It probably was glued in place. And anyway, no, as far as residue goes, well, I guess I have to use a microscope slide for that. But maybe we've done enough of this. Maybe we should move on to another turret or something. Okay. Now, you know what they say about, at least I say it, life is what happens to you while you're making other plans, right? Okay, you will have noticed that for the last over a year I am wearing slippers, even when I'm outside raking the leaves. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is My feet are so swollen I can't get my shoes on. About a month ago, my doctor made an appointment for me to see a cardiologist, which is going to be probably in about 2.5 hours. So this episode is going to have to take a bit of a break. Now, my feet are not nearly as swollen as they were before I went on my big diet back in February. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I went on my diets, because I knew that the swelling would go down if I lost weight. Yeah, at least now I can close the flap over the top. Back in February, I couldn't even close the flap on the top. And these are what are called edema slippers or diabetic slippers. So anyway, I got to look after that today. And yeah, life is what happens to you while you're making other plans. A little later, I did leave for the cardiologist, and I left a little bit early because I didn't know how long it was going to take me to get there. Now, I've been in that area of town before, but probably not for at least, I'm guessing, 10 years. Anyway, yeah, you sort of tend to drive around in your own little area, and the rest of the city, it's sort of, well, you know it's there, but it doesn't mean anything to you. Anyway, yeah, I guess you want to know what the cardiologist had to say. Well, they did the EKG thing and blood pressure thing and ultrasound. He looked at my heart with ultrasound. And there's good news and there's bad news. Now, the good news is, he says, I don't think this is heart related. In other words, he said, I don't have heart problems. So that was the good news. Now, the bad news is we still don't know exactly what it is. They recommended that I try to keep my fluid level, in other words, coffee, to within 2 liters or less per day. So that means that I've got to, as well as weighing my food and working out the calories, now I've got to start measuring the fluid intake. So yeah, well that's not a problem. That'll give me something to do. It's sort of like when I make mistakes here at the model table. It just sort of adds to the fun. Anyway, I'm going to cut today's episode off. I want to thank everybody for bearing with me here and coming with me to the doctor's office. It was actually a much bigger place than I thought it was. It was, a huge waiting room, a lot of people waiting, but I didn't have to wait around long, so they were taking people in pretty regularly. Never been there before and probably never will go there again, but I'm obviously going to have to see a different kind of doctor, because there is obviously something wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.